Ethan was not ready for the news. The Galactic Council had never picked him for anything beyond the usual maintenance shifts on the human colony. He was a simple engineer, more comfortable with tools and circuits than meetings or protocols. But today, as he sat in the sterile, silver-lit office, a uniformed officer stared at him with an expression that balanced both pride and expectation. "You have been selected for the Cultural Exchange Bonding Program," the officer said, his voice formal and mechanical. "A companion has been assigned to you." Ethan blinked. "Companion?" He tried to hide his confusion. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means," the officer replied, "that you will be paired with an alien partner for the duration of the program. You will live together, learn each other's culture, and participate in training exercises. This partnership is permanent for the program's duration." Ethan's stomach sank. He had heard of exchange programs before, but permanent. Living together with an alien. It sounded like science fiction, not real life. Before he could respond, the officer continued. "Your assigned partner is Lyra, a member of the LRE species. She will arrive shortly." Ethan swallowed hard, trying to imagine what an LRE might look like. He had only seen holomages of alien races in textbooks. Some were towering, others winged, some had glowing eyes. He hoped she wasn't one of those frightening kinds. Moments later, the airlock hissed open. A petite figure stepped inside. Ethan froze. She was smaller than he expected, standing only about 4.5 feet tall. Her skin had a faint silver glow, like the surface of a pearl under sunlight, and delicate patterns moved softly across her arms. Her hair shimmered with a soft white sheen that seemed almost like liquid light. And then she smiled. "I have been assigned as your wife," she said in a gentle, musical voice. "It is our way of bonding." Ethan blinked. "Wife?" He tried to hide his astonishment. The word sounded strange and personal. Lyra tilted her head, observing him closely. Her large lavender eyes seemed to see everything at once. "Yes, in my culture, a wife is not just a partner for life. She is your protector, your teacher, your companion. Humans need this. I am to stay close to you at all times." Ethan's jaw dropped. "Stay close." "At all times?" "Yes," Lyra said, nodding calmly. "Your survival depends on it." Ethan stepped back instinctively. "Wait, what? My survival?" I'm fine." "I don't need," Lyra cut him off with a soft, knowing smile. "In my people's experience, human males cannot thrive alone. The Council has observed this for centuries. That is why I am here." Ethan had never felt so overwhelmed. He was a grown man, independent, self-reliant. Yet here was a tiny alien declaring that his very survival depended on her. And yet, something about her smile was disarming. It was not demanding or threatening. It was patient, calm, almost warm. "I don't even know you," Ethan said, trying to gather his thoughts. "You will," Lyra replied simply. "We have time." The officer cleared his throat. "You will have 24 hours to adjust before your training begins. Lyra is authorized to accompany you to your living quarters. Any resistance is unnecessary." Ethan swallowed again. "Right." He motioned for her to follow, trying to act as if this were normal. But his mind was racing. Assigned a wife? Assigned a protector? Assigned survival? Their quarters were small but comfortable, designed for one human and one alien. The walls were lined with adaptive panels that could change color and temperature according to preference. A soft hum filled the room, a quiet reminder of advanced technology surrounding them. Lyra walked in first, serving everything with wide eyes. "Your species uses many devices," she noted. "They are primitive in form but effective." Ethan chuckled nervously. "I guess that makes sense. I'm just a human engineer, not a scientist." She turned to face him, her small hands clasped in front of her. "I am not here to test you. I am here to protect and learn, and to bond." Ethan tried to smile, but the awkwardness remained. Bond, right? So what does that even mean? Do we talk, or... Lyra tilted her head again, her eyes reflecting a quiet curiosity. "We live together. We share meals. We teach each other. You will learn my ways. I will learn yours. Eventually, you will trust me completely. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. Trust, right? How do you even begin to trust someone you barely know who says you cannot survive without them? As evening fell, Lyra prepared a meal. She worked quietly, moving with precise grace, and Ethan watched, fascinated. The food was unlike anything he had ever seen. Bright colors, delicate textures, and aromas that seemed to fill the room with calm energy. You must eat, she said, placing a small dish before him. Your body requires balance. This meal is optimized for your species. Ethan picked up the fork, staring at the alien food. He hesitated, then took a small bite. Immediately warmth spread through him, and a strange energy seemed to flow through his muscles. He blinked. Wow, this is actually really good, Lyra smiled. It is designed to strengthen you, to prepare you for challenges ahead. He paused, studying her. Despite her petite frame, there was a confidence in the way she moved. A quiet strength that seemed almost invisible until observed closely. You really think humans can't survive alone? He asked cautiously. They can survive, she replied. But they do not always thrive. My purpose is to help you thrive. Ethan leaned back, feeling a mix of frustration and admiration. He didn't like the idea of being told he needed someone, but he couldn't deny that her presence was reassuring. The night passed with hesitant conversation. Ethan learned about the Alari, how they valued partnership, not only for love, but for mutual growth and protection. Lyra in turn asked about human traditions, about his family, about what made him happy. Despite the strangeness of the situation, Ethan found himself opening up in ways he had never done with anyone else. By morning, the first light of the colony's twin suns spilled into the room. Lyra was already awake, sitting quietly on the edge of the bed, watching him with an expression that seemed almost human in its gentleness. You must prepare, she said softly. The council expects your participation today. I will accompany you. You will be safe, Ethan nodded, still feeling a strange combination of hesitation and relief. Safe. Yes, that's something I can understand as they walked through the corridors of the colony. Ethan noticed the curious stares of other colonists. Some whispered. Some laughed quietly. He felt embarrassed, but Lyra remained calm beside him, moving like a shadow, unnoticed except by those who looked carefully. Do they always stare like this? Ethan asked quietly. Lyra's lips curved into a tiny smile. Curiosity is natural. You are not used to being bonded with an alien. They have not experienced this before. They reached the council hall, where the first official training session would take place. Humans and aliens alike were gathered, each pair observing the others, learning gestures, customs, and teamwork exercises. Ethan felt out of place, but Lyra stood confidently at his side. The first step, she whispered, is understanding. Watch, learn, and respond. We will do this together. And together they entered the hall. The first exercises were awkward. Ethan stumbled through alien greetings, mispronounced words, and almost dropped the equipment assigned to him. Lyra, however, guided him silently, correcting his posture, offering a gentle touch on his arm, whispering instructions that no one else could hear. Slowly, he began to get the rhythm, to understand her logic, to trust her guidance. By the end of the session, Ethan realized something he had not expected. He was not just learning the Alari ways, he was learning his own strength, his own capability, amplified by her presence. It was strange, uncomfortable, and exhilarating all at once. As they left the hall, Lyra looked at him, her eyes soft. You are stronger than I expected. Humans may surprise me yet. Ethan smiled, feeling an unfamiliar warmth in his chest. Maybe I'm starting to understand this whole wife assignment thing. Lyra's smile widened, tiny fangs showing briefly a sign of contentment in her culture. You will learn much, human, and I will be here every step. That night, as Ethan lay awake, he thought about the tiny alien beside him, the one who insisted he could not survive alone. He realized he did not feel threatened anymore. Instead, he felt curious, Curious about what life would be like with her. Curious about how much he could grow. Curious about the strange, possible bond that had already begun between them. And somewhere deep down, he knew that this assignment, this bizarre, unbelievable pairing, was about to change his life forever. The morning on the colony was bright, but the air carried a strange tension. Ethan woke to the soft glow of the twin suns filtering through the room. Lyra was already awake, practicing subtle gestures that he didn't fully understand yet. She moved with calm precision, like a dancer performing an intricate routine that was both beautiful and purposeful.
"Good morning,"
Ethan said, rubbing his eyes. He yawned. "Are you always up this early?" Lyra looked at him with a faint smile. "Morning is for preparation. Humans are stronger after rest, yes, but they must also be ready for surprises. The Council values readiness above all." Ethan nodded slowly. There was no point in arguing. She had a way of saying things that made him feel both silly and grateful at the same time. He dressed quickly, pulling on the uniform of the colony's engineers, and followed her to the training facility. Today was not just about learning today. It was about applying what they had learned. When they entered the main hall, the tension was palpable. Other humans and aliens were already gathered, murmuring quietly to one another. A large holoscreen flickered to life, displaying the words, "Exercise 1, Partner Defense Simulation." Ethan's stomach tightened. Defense simulation? He muttered. Lyra's hand brushed against his arm lightly. "Stay calm. Observe first, then act. Trust yourself." "Trust me," the instructors explained the scenario. Small but aggressive robotic drones would attack, and the pairs were to defend themselves, using only the tools and techniques provided. No weapons that could permanently damage anyone, just skill, reflex, and teamwork. Ethan's heart pounded as the first drones whirred to life, moving with quick, unpredictable patterns. He fumbled, trying to calculate trajectories and movement speed. One drone zipped past him, nearly knocking him off balance. He stumbled. Lyra stepped in instantly. In one fluid motion, she grabbed a small energy shield from their equipment rack and blocked the drone's strike before it could hit him. Then, with another motion, she pressed a palm against the drone's metallic surface. Sending a precise pulse that temporarily deactivated it, Ethan blinked. "How did you—" "You will learn by watching," she said calmly. "Humans are clever, but the Alari are trained to anticipate." Together, they moved as a unit. Ethan learned to predict Lyra's movements, and she adjusted her actions to his rhythm. Slowly, they began clearing the drones one by one. It was exhausting work, and sweat dripped down Ethan's forehead, but he felt an unfamiliar thrill. He was no longer just a human engineer. He was part of a team, a pair, a unit. By the end of the simulation, they were the only pair to finish ahead of the others. The instructors nodded in approval, impressed not only by their skill, but by the seamless cooperation between a human and an alien. Afterward, Ethan and Lyra walked back toward their quarters. He couldn't help but feel proud, though he tried not to show it too much. "You know," he said, "I didn't think we'd actually make it through that. I thought I'd just mess everything up." Lyra glanced at him, her smile gentle. "You were not messing up. You were learning. Humans grow stronger when challenged. That is why I stay with you, to guide, to protect, and to witness growth." Ethan's lips twitched into a small smile. "Guidance, huh? I guess I can see that." The day continued with various training exercises. There were mental challenges, physical drills, and cultural understanding sessions. Ethan found himself growing accustomed to Lyra's constant presence. At first, he had felt suffocated, but now, her small interventions correcting a movement, explaining a procedure, even offering simple encouragement, made him feel capable. More confident, by late afternoon, the colony's communications hub buzzed with an alert. Ethan and Lyra rushed to the command center, where holographic displays showed approaching ships. The red warning lights flashed, indicating that unregistered vessels had entered the colony's sector. "Mercenaries," one officer said grimly. "They're after our rare mineral reserves. They won't negotiate. They will attack." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He had trained for simulations, not real attacks. His hands shook slightly as he glanced at Lyra. She, however, remained calm. "Do not fear," she said. "We will survive. We must protect the colony. You will lead, I will support. Together, we are stronger than they expect." The first wave of attackers struck suddenly. Small ships hovered near the colony's perimeter, launching rapid energy pulses at the outer defenses. Alarms blared and colonists scrambled to shelters. Ethan's training kicked in. He moved toward the control panels, coordinating the colony's defensive measures. Lyra stayed close, guiding his hands, adjusting targeting systems with precision he could not have managed alone. Ethan left control now. She instructed. Her voice was calm, commanding. Her small hand pressed over his on the panel, steadying him as he redirected defensive pulses to intercept the enemy fire. The attack was fierce. But the human ingenuity, combined with Lyra's alien skills, kept the colony from immediate destruction. Ethan could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, his focus sharper than it had ever been. He realized that Lyra's presence didn't make him weaker, it made him stronger. Faster, smarter, during a particularly dangerous moment. A drone fighter broke through the outer defenses. Heading straight for Ethan, he froze for a split second too long. Lyra reacted instantly. With a graceful leap, she positioned herself between Ethan and the drone, raising a shimmering energy shield. The blast struck the shield, sending her tumbling back, but preventing any harm to him. "Lyra," Ethan shouted, rushing forward. "I am unharmed," she said calmly, standing with a fluid motion. Her petite frame belied the strength that had just protected him. "Do not let fear control you. Focus." Ethan nodded, swallowing the panic that threatened to overtake him. He adjusted the defense protocols, fired countermeasures, and worked in tandem with Lyra to neutralize the remaining threats. Hours seemed to pass in minutes, each movement critical, each decision life or death. Finally, the attackers retreated. The colony was safe, but the aftermath was chaotic. Colonists emerged from shelters, surveying the damage. Supplies were scattered, equipment damaged, and tension still hung thick in the air. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow, feeling a strange mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. He looked at Lyra, who stood beside him, her silver glow faint but steady. She had risked herself for him, just as she said she would. You saved me," Ethan said quietly. "I don't even know how to thank you." Lyra tilted her head. "It was my duty, and my choice. I am here for you, Ethan. Not because the Council commands it, but because I have chosen to protect you." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. He had never experienced such selfless loyalty before, not from anyone. The petite alien who had seemed so delicate now appeared as strong as anyone he had ever known. And for the first time, he began to understand the meaning of her assignment, not as a restriction, but as a gift. Over the next few days, the colony repaired itself. Ethan and Lyra continued training, preparing for potential future attacks. Their bond deepened, not only through necessity, but through shared experience. Ethan learned more about Lyra's culture, her subtle gestures of care, and the ways she assessed danger before it arrived. Lyra, in turn, observed human creativity, resilience, and the small moments of compassion that she had never expected to see. One evening, as they rested in their quarters, Ethan watched Lyra cleaning and organizing the small space with meticulous care. "You know," he said slowly, "I thought I would hate having a partner, someone assigned to me like this, but now I'm not so sure." Lyra looked at him, her lavender eyes softening. "You are learning to understand. Humans are stronger when they accept support. That is not weakness, it is growth." Ethan smiled, feeling the weight of the past few days lift slightly. "I guess. I've never had someone believe in me like this. Someone who watches out for me without asking anything in return." "You have me now," Lyra said simply, "and I will not leave you. Not in training, not in danger, not in life." Ethan leaned back, realizing that the assigned partnership had already transformed into something far deeper. He no longer felt embarrassed by her presence. He felt safe, capable, and curious. Curious about what else he could learn, what challenges they could face together, and what life would look like with Lyra by his side as night fell over the colony. Ethan lay awake, listening to the soft hum of the quarter's adaptive systems. Lyra was beside him, meditating in her way, her glow dimming slightly as her body rested. He realized that this small, alieness, signed, chosen, brave, and loyal had already changed his life. Tomorrow, the colony would continue its training and new challenges would arise. But tonight, Ethan understood something crucial. Survival wasn't just about staying alive. Survival was about connection, trust, and the strength that came from sharing your life with someone who believed in you, no matter the odds. And for the first time, Ethan allowed himself to think that maybe, just maybe, this assigned wife might be the most important part of his life. The colony was quiet, but the calm was deceptive. Ethan woke to a soft hum in the air, signaling another day of training and, perhaps, another challenge. He stretched and glanced at Lyra, who was already standing by the window, observing the twin suns rising over the alien horizon. Her silver glow reflected the morning light, giving her an almost ethereal presence. "Good morning," Ethan said, rubbing his eyes. "You're always up before me," Lyra turned, her smile gentle. "Preparation is key. Today may bring challenges. We must be ready." Ethan nodded, feeling a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. The last few days had tested him in ways he had never imagined. From awkward exercises to life-threatening attacks, he had learned to trust Lyra completely. And he knew deep down that she trusted him too. Their first session that day involved advanced survival drills, combining mental agility, combat readiness, and quick decision-making under pressure. The instructors emphasized teamwork and instinct, pushing every pair to operate as one. Ethan could feel the strain immediately. The exercises were faster, more unpredictable, and the scenarios simulated real dangers far more realistically than before. The first challenge involved navigating a labyrinth, filled with shifting walls and hidden traps. Ethan's heart pounded as he followed Lyra's lead. Her small hands guided his movements, signaling danger ahead before he even noticed it. Together, they moved with surprising synchronicity, dodging traps, leaping over gaps, and solving complex puzzles that required both human logic and alien intuition. "You're improving," Lyra whispered, her eyes scanning the labyrinth ahead. "Humans adapt quickly when they focus. You must trust your instincts." Ethan smiled slightly, feeling a rush of confidence. "Thanks. I couldn't do this without you." Lyra tilted her head. "And yet, you are doing this. Together, we are stronger than the sum of our parts." The final section of the labyrinth led to a chamber with simulated hostile drones. This time, the challenge was not only to survive, but to protect each other and a group of holographic colonists. Ethan's heart raced. He remembered the real attack from days before and the way Lyra had shielded him. He knew he had to act quickly, without hesitation. The drones activated, buzzing aggressively. Ethan reacted on instinct, coordinating with Lyra as they moved. She covered his flank, redirected drones, and even created temporary energy shields with precise gestures. Ethan maneuvered with growing confidence, using his knowledge of the labyrinth to anticipate paths and protect the holographic colonists. Hours felt like minutes, or soon the challenge ended. Ethan and Lyra were the first pair to finish successfully, earning the instructor's approval and quiet admiration from the other participants. After the exercises, Ethan and Lyra walked back to their quarters. He was tired, sore, but also exhilarated. "You know," he said, "I never thought I'd enjoy training this much. But having you here changes everything." Lyra smiled, walking beside him. "You are learning. That is the reward of effort. And companionship strengthens the heart as well as the body." Ethan's chest tightened slightly. Her words felt different today, softer, warmer, more personal. He had spent the past days thinking of her as a protector, a guide, an assigned partner. But now he realized something deeper. He cared for her. Not just because she saved him, but because of who she was. Strong, intelligent, gentle, and utterly devoted. The day continued peacefully until a sudden alarm blared across the colony. Red warning lights flashed. The holographic displays in the command center showed a fleet of unknown ships approaching at high speed. Mercenaries, one officer muttered grimly. They've returned larger and more organized. They must have learned from the last attack. Ethan's stomach sank. He looked at Lyra, who remained calm, her small frame glowing faintly in the alert light. We must act immediately, she said. Focus, Ethan. This is the moment we have been preparing for. Together they coordinated the colony's defenses. Ethan managed the energy barriers and control systems, while Lyra directed defensive pulses, predicted enemy maneuvers, and even leaped into the battlefield when drones breached the outer perimeter. One of the larger ships launched an energy cannon directly at the central hub where Ethan was stationed. He froze for a split second, his fingers hovering over the control panel. In that instant, Lyra moved like lightning, placing herself between him and the blast. The shield she generated absorbed the impact, sending a wave of energy that rocked the floor beneath them. Ethan's heart pounded. Lyra, are you okay? He shouted, rushing to her side. I am unharmed, she replied calmly, standing with fluid grace. Do not let fear paralyze you. The colony needs your mind as much as my actions. Ethan nodded, swallowing his panic. He refocused, directing defensive systems, deploying countermeasures, and guiding reinforcements to strategic points. Together, he and Lyra turned the tide of the battle. Hours passed in a blur of action, strategy, and near misses. Finally, the mercenary fleet retreated, damaged and disorganized. The colony had survived, but barely. Supplies were depleted, defenses battered. Every colonist carried the weight of exhaustion and relief in the aftermath. Ethan and Lyra walked through the corridors, helping wherever they could. Ethan felt a strange mixture of pride and humility. The colony had survived because of human ingenuity, but also because of the small, glowing alien who had chosen to protect him, to work with him, and to guide him without question. As night fell, the colony quieted. Ethan and Lyra returned to their quarters, exhausted but alive. They sat together, the soft hum of the room their only companion. Ethan glanced at her, the glow of her skin dimming slightly in the low light. You saved so many today, he said softly. Not just me, everyone. Lyra shook her head. I did what I must. That is my role. And you led with courage. Humans surprise me. You are stronger than I expected. Ethan's lips curved into a small, tired smile. I couldn't have done it without you. You changed everything for me. Lyra's lavender eyes softened, and for the first time Ethan saw something almost like vulnerability in her gaze. I was assigned to protect you, she said quietly, but I am here because I choose to be. Not because the council said so, because I care for you. Ethan's chest tightened. He had felt a connection growing over the past days, but hearing her say it so small, so deliberate, so sincere made something inside him shift. He reached out, taking her tiny hand in his. Lyra, I care for you too. Not because I have to, not because it's assigned, because I want to. Because you've shown me strength, loyalty, and something I didn't know I was missing. She tilted her head, her smile returning, softer this time, warmer. Then we have chosen each other not by assignment, but by will. That is, rare among humans and Alaria alike. Ethan laughed softly, a sound of relief and happiness. I guess the program worked, but in a way neither of us expected. For the first time, they sat in silence, not as assigned partners, not as protector and human, but as equals to beings who had chosen each other through trust, courage, and shared experience. The next morning, the Galactic Council summoned Ethan for a briefing. He expected reprimands, perhaps even reassignments after all. The last attack had been dangerous. But instead, the council officers looked impressed. You and your partner performed beyond expectations. One officer said, the pairing program was designed to test human-alien cooperation. You have shown that humans are capable of more than anticipated. Ethan glanced at Lyra, who gave him a subtle nod. He understood immediately. The council didn't just see a partnership, They saw the growth of a human capable of greatness, and paired with someone who believed in him. After the briefing, Ethan returned to his quarters. Lyra was waiting, a quiet smile on her face. "You see," she said, "humans can surprise even the most experienced observers." Ethan laughed, taking her hand. "I see, but more importantly, I think we've surprised ourselves." Lyra's glow brightened slightly, a sign of her contentment. "Perhaps in now, we continue together, not as assignment, not as duty, but as choice." Ethan squeezed her hand. Together. The days that followed were filled with recovery and reflection. The colony repaired defenses, strengthened relationships, and celebrated survival. Ethan and Lyra continued training, not out of obligation, but out of desire to grow, protect, and learn from each other. Their bond became the standard for human-alien cooperation, inspiring others to trust, collaborate, and appreciate the strength in partnership. One evening, as the twin suns set in a brilliant display of colors, Ethan and Lyra stood on the balcony of their quarters, watching the horizon. Ethan felt a calm he had never known. He was not just a human engineer anymore. He was part of something larger, shared life, a shared purpose, a bond that transcended species and expectation. Lyra's small hand rested on his arm. "Do you understand now?" she asked softly. "Why humans need a partner? Not for weakness, but for strength. Not for survival, but for life itself." Ethan looked at her, his heart full. "I understand, and I'm grateful. For you, for everything." She smiled, petite and radiant in the fading light. "Then we continue. Together, as equals, as partners, as friends." "As more," Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words deep in his heart. Whatever the future held, challenges, dangers, or unexpected turns, he knew one.